Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jussie Smollett 2.0, and his name is Bubba Wallace. He's a NASCAR driver. I don't know if you guys have been following this lately, and for those of you who do not know who Jussie Smollett is, I will give you a brief recap. Jussie Smollett is an actor on the show Empire, and last year, on one of the coldest winter nights in the history of Chicago, it was negative 40 degrees out, it was 2 a.m. Jussie Smollett decides that he wants a Subway sandwich. So at 2 a.m., negative 40 degrees, Jussie Smollett is on his way walking to a nearby Subway when he is attacked by two racist white guys wearing MAGA hats that beat him up, poured bleach on him, put a noose around his neck, and shouted him, "This is MAGA country." It is just the ultimate story that exemplifies how racist this country of America is. So then Jussie Smollett continues walking to Subway, keeps the noose around his neck, buys a sandwich, goes back home, and eats it. If this story sounds like a huge crock of bullshit, it's because it is. It was later unveiled that these two white guys that beat him up, these two racist white guys that beat up Jussie Smollett, were actually black guys, two black guys that he knew. These were two black African immigrants that were his personal trainers, and later on, all the evidence that showed that this was a complete orchestrated work was revealed. There was checks that Jussie Smollett wrote to these people, that he wrote to these two guys, in which he paid them off in order to stage the hate crime. There was receipts found for the rope that he used to create the noose, and it was all complete BS. So your next question might be, why the hell would anyone stage a hate crime? Well, Jussie Smollett was unhappy with how much he was getting paid on the show Empire. He was only making $65,000 an episode. Jussie Smollett thought he was grossly underpaid, so he saw an opportunity for him to stage a hate crime, become a national hero, because we know all the people that end up being victims of hate crimes are paraded around as heroes in today's America. So the saddest thing is, he was probably right that if he did successfully, and say we didn't know that he had staged the hate crime, he probably would have been able to garner more money due to a greater image, due to more popularity and publicity from this staged attack. And this points to a greater problem in America. So the question that you might ask yourself is, how prevalent is racism in America? Well, think about this. If you need to stage a hate crime, it's probably because the demand for racism is greater than the supply. And that's what happened here. So moving on. Now we have Bubba Wallace. He's a NASCAR race car driver, and he reports that there was a noose hanging in the garage at his shop. This wasn't at his home. It was at the NASCAR shop. There was a noose hanging there, and immediately all the news stations, CNN, MSNBC, came out, and they didn't ask any questions. They didn't think that, maybe we should investigate this further, because, I don't know, the last 6 news stories that had happened over the course of 3 years, all of which turned out to be hoaxes. What are the chances that this one is for real? Well, they're pretty slim. But MSNBC and CNN didn't ask any of those questions.
At this hour, a major show of solidarity for Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's only black driver in its top circuit, one day after some awful person left a noose in his garage stall.
The entire garage area,
in a sign of solidarity,
has rallied around Bubba Wallace
and a rejection of racism. NASCAR drivers walk alongside Bubba Wallace's car, number 43, overcome with emotion.
A despicable act by someone.
So it turns out the racist person that had put the noose in Bubba Wallace's garage never actually existed, and the whole story was a hoax, just like Jussie Smollett's. The noose was actually used to pull the garage shut, and the same noose was shown in every other garage at the NASCAR shop. So what does this tell you about America and the media, that we've had 6 news stories in the last 3 years? Every single one of them has turned out to be a hoax. Is it possible that America is not this racist country that it is perceived to be? And why hasn't the media learned to maybe ask questions when you have another news story? And maybe they should. Horace Cooper gave an interview last night commenting on this exact story and Jussie Smollett's story as well, and I couldn't have said it any better, so here's the clip.
America isn't a racist country. In fact, racism is so hard to find, you have to create these circumstances in order to find one. You remember that guy in Chicago? He had to hire foreigners to do the racism that America just won't do.